Hello guys, using Droid Crunch. I'm Lokesh Kapoor, and in this video we're going to talk about Flexbox Container in Elementor. So what you can do, you can just enable the Flexbox Container in Elementor settings and then experiments, and here this Flexbox Container you can make it active. By default it is disabled, so you can active it. Okay, so it is basically CSS Flexbox. By default it is grid layout where you use sections and columns, but this Flexbox layout is quite complex, and you can make some complex layouts with it. It's not that complex, but still with it you can solve some problems that you cannot do basically with the grid layouts. Okay, so that's why it's pretty useful in some cases. So when you make it active you will lose the section and column things. Okay, but you can keep to both of them. Okay, so from now on you cannot use a section and column layout, but for the older designs where you have used sections and columns, they will remain the same. Okay, but you will have an option to convert those sections and columns into the container layout, container basically Flexbox container layout. Okay, so let's get started. So after saving this, you can just click on this plus icon and you can find this column and row. Okay, so this Flexbox container where the flex direction is, here it is row and here it is column. Column is basically vertical and row is basically horizontal, so always remember this. So we are gonna start with the row. By default when you drag and drop container, it is it is column. Okay, so when you drag and drop, this is column and this is row. Okay, how to prove this? I will just drop some elements into this. So when I add one more element into this, it will just underneath the first item. Okay, so this is column layout because they are positioned vertically, all the items. Okay, but here they are not. So for example, if I now for example paste a button and now I again duplicate this button, it will be just positioned adjacent right to it. Okay, so I duplicate it, so this is now a row layout, that is a horizontal layout, and here it is a column layout, that is vertical layout. Okay, so let's keep to work with this horizontal row layout. Okay, let's delete all the items inside of it, and this is our container. We don't have any item inside of it as of now, so all of these are basically the items. We can add any of these items in this container, but to demonstrate you better, we can just use an HTML widget as an item for this container, and I will use very simple div class and give it a class of item so that we can recognize that it is an item. Okay, and I already have given some class to item class. Here the padding 40 pixels and background red. Okay, so from top and bottom the padding is 40, so height is 80 pixels. So remember this for now. Okay, so this is the only class I have used as of now on this page. Okay, and this is the item. Now I will duplicate this item and duplicate one more time and duplicate one more time, so all are being positioned horizontally as I add one more item to this container. Okay, to demonstrate better, I can just give some styling, okay, to my container. I can give some padding to it. Okay, so now you can clearly see it, and basically I can use the canvas layout as well to hide this header. Okay, so now it is quite better. So now these are our items, this is our container. Okay, so this container has this container property and items property. So container has a width of default 1140 pixels. Okay, we can make it 800. Okay, or let's keep it to the default one for now. Okay, and these are all our items. Okay, for this property. So all these properties will affect how our items will flow into our container. Okay, so currently direction is row, so all are being positioned in horizontal layout. Okay, when I click on this column, it will be positioned in a vertical layout like this, right? So justify content is a property that works for the main axis based on the flex direction. So flex direction, the main axis is row, like main axis is this one, horizontal. So this row you can consider it as a horizontal axis. Okay, so the main axis for now is horizontal. So justify content we can denote as a horizontal. So horizontally align items to start, horizontally align items, all these items inside our container to center. So when you click on center, all the items will be centered, aligned, okay, to the main axis, that is horizontal axis. Okay, all items will horizontally align to the center. Now to the end, now to space between, basically space between all the items is equal. This means space between all the items is equal. So when you click on this, so between all of these items space is equal. So this space and this space and this space is equal. Space around all items is equal. So space around this item is equal, then this and this, this and this, this and this, right? And space evenly, so all items will have evenly spaced, so all the spaces are even. Okay, so this is how our justify content works to the main axis. And to the cross axis, now the properties align items. Okay, so when the main axis is horizontal for the row, the cross axis becomes vertical. So vertical items alignment is this align items property. So when I click any of this property, it will be based on this cross axis, the vertical axis, okay, for the direction row. Okay, so I will not see any of the changes when I click any of these properties. Default is stretch, so when I click on stretch, nothing will happen. But if I click any of this, it will not reflect the change. Why? There's no space, okay, to do the change. So what I will do, I will just click on this item, I will give it a modifier class, utility class, I can say custom height probably, and go to advanced and custom CSS ch and height. So basically we had the padding of 40px. Okay, so 40 80 ho gaya, so that 80 pixels is the default height as of now. So nothing will happen when I give it this 80 pixels as height, but when I give it 100 pixels, it will be more than the default one. Okay, so now you can see the change. Okay, I can give it 120, so now we can better see it. So the first item height is now not different from the other items, right? Now when we go to a container and change these properties, we can see the change. So by default it is stretch, okay, all items. Now when I click on this stretch, so this property is already stretched to the top, okay, and all these properties, all these items are now aligned to the top. When I click on center, okay, this is already in center, and this property is also now centered, okay, to the cross axis. Okay, and we can also, for example, give some background is already given. I hope we could illustrate it much better, but then I'll have to open this page in a new tab. So let's keep to this, and now you can see that for our container, when we click on the flex end, all the items would be aligned in the cross axis to the end. Okay, so the cross axis for now is vertical column based. Okay, so it is now aligned. So justify content will make the items to for the main axis alignment. So the alignment for all the items towards the main axis controls justify content, and towards the cross axis align items, and this axis is defined by the direction. If flex direction will decide whether it is main axis or the cross axis. Okay, so if it is a row, then main axis is horizontal, cross axis is vertical. We can consider it from here, and justify content will be based on the main axis. Okay, so main axis for the row direction is horizontal, and for the column direction it is vertical. Okay, so keep remember this, and you can better understand the further video. Okay, so now for the each item we have some properties, and before we move to the items, let's see these properties as well. That's elements gap and wrap property. So elements gap, basically the gap between all these items. Okay, so we can just increase this gap. Okay, it is 0. It is like this. But why it is like this? Because we have space evenly, which is distributed evenly. But if we make it flex start, the space will be left towards the right, the rest space. Okay, so this space is now clean, but space is now distributed between the elements, and distributed around the elements, and distributed evenly for the elements. Okay, and for these three properties, space is not distributed towards the elements. Okay, so when it is left, and this space is on the right. When it is the center, space is around. When it is on the right, the space is on the left. Okay, so currently we have aligned to the left, so space is on the right, and when we increase the gap, so this space will increase between the items, right? So this is how it works. Now for example, I add more items in this container. I duplicate this item, I duplicate this item again, this item again. So see what happens when it covers the entire axis. So this space will shrink, okay, as soon as I add more items. But now if I go to items, currently the wrap property is no wrap. Okay, so and when I click on the wrap, now it will be wrapped. Okay, now if I add the items, nothing will go outside. Okay, add more items, okay, and when I click on no wrap and increase the gap, now you can see that this items are going outside of the container. Okay, and this is the problem that we have to avoid, because if you want to avoid this scroller, we will need to check this overflow property to be hidden. No, it is hidden, but the items are not showing, they are hidden. Okay, so that's why we can use this wrap property, that is flex wrap property, that is by default. So it's 0 false, 1 to true. Okay, so this is true, 1 wrap, and it is 0 by default. Got it? So now all these items are wrapped. Got it? Now if I go to my container and increase the height, and now you can see that these items are now towards the axis, towards the main axis, have some more spacing. Now if I make it flex start, all the items will be go towards the top. So the flex and justify content was deciding where the items would be towards the main axis, but this time if I make it to the wrap, all the items towards the cross axis will be decided by this align content property. Okay, so justify content for the main axis and align content for the cross axis when the items are wrapped. Okay, so if I give more height, you can see that on the bottom there is a lot of space when I use flex start. When I keep it flex end, all the items will now move towards the end, towards the cross axis. Okay, so the cross axis is vertical column layout as of now. So this is how it all works. Okay, and I can just go ahead and remove this height. So now let us see some properties of the elements. So when you click on any of the element, first let us make it flex start, or probably the default one. Okay, now I go to the any of the element and go to advanced. Now you can see this align self, order and size properties. The align self defines where the item would be, and it will override the align items property. Okay, so basically the align items was flex start, right? Let's check align items. Okay, it was stretch. Okay, now if I make it center, okay, now if I go to this property and now I make the align self towards the flex end, so this item, only this item out of all the items will now go to end, right? So this is only for the one property. So for each item you can override the align items property with align self. And now let's check the order property. What does this order property do? So it will override its order, like all the items are in order of their HTML elements list. Okay, now if I want to change the order of any of these elements, for example, I click on this element, I want this element to be here instead of here. So what I will do, I will just I don't need to change the color of it to see the change, because the first item's height is more than the second item. So if I change its order, I can clearly see it. I can make it start and it will now be on left because it is now on the start. Okay, so this is fixed, and now in the array it will start from here and it is fixed to the first position. Okay, now if I make this item to start, this item will go here. Okay, so this is how it all works. Okay, you can change its order, you can make custom order as well. For example, this was fixed. Okay, now I click this item and click on this custom order and say it 3. Okay, 0 1 2 3. Okay, so we can change its order, but I don't know why it's not happening. Okay, because we have not ordered more items, that's why. Okay, so custom order 0 is just visible, but others are not visible. Okay, so the size property is, it is like a flex, a shorthand property for the flex grow and flex shrink. Okay, there is one more flex basis for the width of the custom item. Okay, and now if I click on custom, I can see that now it is like this. So currently let's fix the layout by deleting the elements, some of the elements, so that we can see all of these properties as well. Okay, now we have some space, okay, which can be used by the other properties. Now if I click on the advanced, I can see that I can now change and reflect you the change by using this custom and flex grow to 3 4 5 anything. Okay, now you can see, so it is 3, it is 2, when I make it 1. So this is like in the proportion of the elements how much the current item will grow. So this property decides it. Okay, so if it is more, it will be more than all the other items. So by default all the items have flex grow of 1, so 1, but if I make it 2, and so this is twice of this. Okay, now it is 3, so this just thrice. So this is how all it works. Okay, so this is all about flex containers. So all of these properties, so now you can make use of these properties for making some layouts. For example, I make it a row. Okay, so flex direction is row, all the items will be horizontally aligned. So if I want to just add a button, I can add a button here, add one more button. Okay, so the widget space, you already know, you go to container, you go to items, and here's the space between the two items, which you can decide from here. Okay, and now if you want to make it center, what we need to do, justify content is a property that controls the items towards the main axis. So main axis is horizontal for this layout, that is a row layout. Okay, so for the row, justify content is the main axis. So if we center it, the buttons will be centered aligned. Okay, so this is how you can, if you know all of these properties, you can easily make use of this flex container and make some complex layouts. You can add more buttons to it. You don't need to work with the positioning like you did before in the section column layout. So it removes a lot of setbacks that you had previously with the layouts. So it's just very amazing to use, and you can mix any kind of layout with this flex container layouts. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, please go ahead and I will be there in the comments for you. And if you are a new user on my channel, please subscribe to it, because I make interesting videos like this for you. And yeah, thanks for watching and have a wonderful day. Bye bye.